Okay, so the example was when Alexandra was waiting for her boyfriend, and then the boyfriend comes and she says, I feel less important than your friends. Now the boyfriend could say something invalidating like, oh, that's ridiculous, of course you're more important than my friends. Or, on the other hand, the boyfriend could say, yeah, I see what I mean, I'm sorry. I said, which boyfriend would you rather have? And she said, obviously, the second one. And then we talked about how the boyfriend, then, if he really understood how she felt, for one thing, he wouldn't feel quite as, like, attacked and defensive as if she were to say something like, well, something attacking like, what was my example? I forget now. Ah, yes, my example was, how would you feel if I were 2 hours late? So then he would definitely feel attacked and defensive. And she would be trying to make him feel guilty, so maybe he would feel guilt-tripped. Although in this case, his guilt would be, let's say, I don't want to use the word appropriate, like a lot of people would use. I didn't even get a chance to tell Alexandra what I think about that word, or about the word should. But if I talk to her again, then I'll tell her what I think about those words and why. Oh, okay, so anyhow, in the second case where the boyfriend said, yeah, I see what you mean, I'm sorry, and if he really feels bad, then he'll make a voluntary effort to spend more time with her or be on time. And by the way, we also talked about how her trust in him was decreasing as she was waiting there, because she didn't trust him to come when he said he's going to come. And then we talked about the cell phone messages, and I don't know if I already said this in the first video, so I'll say it now just in case. But I said, would you rather get a text message? I think I did say this, but anyhow. Would you rather get a text message that says, yes, I'm sure I said this, but I'll say it again anyhow. Would you rather get a text message that says, I'm with my friends, I'll be there in an hour, don't worry, or I'm with my friends, how about we meet in an hour? Which gives her the choice to say something like, no, an hour won't really work for me because I have to do blah blah blah, or that's fine because I can spend that time doing blah blah blah. Thanks for your message. Now, Alexandra said something like communication is the key, but I want to say something about that, which is that there's different kinds of communication. For example, Alexandra could communicate by saying something like, the next time you're late more than 15 minutes, we're finished. That would be communication. But it would also be a threat. So, unfortunately, a lot of us learn how to threaten someone instead of how to express our feelings directly. And also we talked about how it's more efficient to express feelings with feeling words by saying something like I feel jealous or I feel unimportant, rather than having a long discussion and a big drama. And Alexandra understood that because she said something like Americans are very efficient. And let's see what else. She also said, which was, I think, fairly insightful of her, that America is all about money. She said a lot of people from Romania go to America, and they go there to make money. She said sometimes they'll say that they are going there for cultural experiences, to learn about America, etc., but she said really what they want to go for is money. Alexandra was interested in my opinion. This is one thing that made it pleasing for me to talk to her. At one point, when there was kind of a pause in our conversation, she said, and what do you think about Romanian teenagers? So she was asking me for my opinion. Then we started to debate just a little bit, but not very much. I would really like to talk to Alexandra again, so I'm going to give her the link to this video, and she has my cell phone number and I have her email. So I asked her if maybe I could talk to her again outside of work. It was amazing how long we could work actually before somebody came up and said, hey, you have to get back to work. And by the way, in case I forget, I want to mention that while we were talking, a guy came into the casino and he wanted to start playing the games. And she said, well, I'm sorry, we're closed for cleaning. He said, but it's supposed to be a non-stop, 24-hour casino. And he felt kind of frustrated, and she understood that, but she just said it's the rules. So I wanted to talk to Alexandra Or maybe I'll just say now that instead of treating someone like that, just saying it's the rules, she could say something like, I'm sorry, and not say it's the rules, or say, I'm sorry, I know what you mean. I'll tell the boss that you were kind of frustrated. Or maybe she could show more understanding, make him feel less alone by saying something like, yeah, a lot of people feel the same way, so maybe you could tell the boss how you feel, because I agree with you that it's not really very accurate or not very fair, or it's a kind of misleading to say we're open non-stop when actually you can't come in at this time and use the machines. And if I get the chance to talk to Alexandra again, I'll ask her what she thinks of that idea and how she would feel about saying something like that to the guy, because I'm curious. Alexandra told me that she likes to stand up for what she believes in. She likes to fight for her opinion. She said with her father she can always disagree and she can always give her reasons and he'll listen. But she said, when I asked her this question, I said, do you ever get so frustrated in trying to talk to your parents that you just get up and walk away? And she said, not with my father, but sometimes with my mother. And I told her that with my sister Betsy would get up and walk away from the dinner table because she would get so frustrated trying to talk to my parents. And Betsy now is a clinical psychologist who thinks we should put kids on Ritalin and other forms of drugs. And she's had her kids on drugs, and one of them became like this religious fanatic for a while. Another one supposedly has hyperactive attention deficit disorder, blah blah blah, and so that's what happened to Betsy. And she married a guy who's some kind of scientist with Eli Lilly Corporation, who is the manufacturer of Ritalin. And he's a nice guy, but I wouldn't say he's the most compassionate or understanding when it comes to emotional support. And I would say, well, that's all I'll say. Okay, so I've just been riding this bus around the same loop for a while, and the bus driver hasn't noticed or hasn't cared. So, I guess I'll stop this video now before I lose something. Bye.